Hey, Mark.
Hello.
How are you
Greetings. How are
today?
you?
I'm good. What's going on? Where are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm in my living room.
Nice. And where is your living room?
It is in Chicago. And it's yeah, coincidentally in this new little art space that I put together, Fluffy Crime. But that's where
Yeah.
I'm at.
Let's talk about this. I mean, what a name. It really inspires me to want to be a criminal in a very fluffy way. What's behind the name? Tell me all I need to know about fluffy crimes.
Well, there's nothing much behind the name. I actually had a show of my paintings last year, and that was the name I came up with for the name of the show. And a few months ago, or even maybe just a couple months ago, I had the idea that I wanted to start like a little gallery slash art space in my condo. And I tried my darndest to come up with a name that I liked, like condo gallery and apartment gallery, and all these kinds of things. But everything was already used, so I reverted to my show name because it was the best name that I could come up with.
Yeah, it's kind of
So
brilliant.
that's what happened with that.
I love
Yeah.
that. I'm so happy that you've taken this initiative because it seems like every day something's closing and you know it's not going to come back. So tell me what moved you to do this?
Well, so I think what moved me to do it was probably just you know tired of a little bit of, well, a lot of rejection, but then
Sure.
also as an artist, but also what appeared to me to be I've seen a lot of people taking advantage of artists, um, and I kind of just I was in a fellowship up until very recently with a fine art print shop here in Chicago, Spudnik, and part of the fellowship was this professional seminar talking about all kinds of art professional related ideas, concepts, things, and we were talking about galleries and what constitutes a gallery and how people can come up with galleries, and just being part of the fellowship actually kind of someone there made me aware of all these apartment galleries and garage galleries, basement galleries in Chicago, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna make a fucking gallery. I mean, I'm just it all kind of came together at once. I'm like, and I was probably playing too many video games on my phone during lockdown and everything. I'm like, you know what, I need to spend my time doing something more productive, and that was it. If that makes sense,
Yeah,
just
that's amazing. Well, you said a few things, and one of them was rejection, right? I
yeah.
feel like there just isn't enough opportunity for artists, and the ones that are available make you jump through hoops, and you have to kind of fight against each other, and you have to like pray, and it's a crapshoot. And there's so many walls in this country alone, in your city alone. So, right. So, how do we combat that? I mean, one thing that always comes to mind is there's all these platforms. I don't know about you, but I get all these damn emails saying, "Oh, not anymore because the world is different." But before it was like, "I'm starting a platform and online for artists and build a profile." And I realized quick, artists are being used as cogs in this brand building projects,
Oh
right?
yeah.
The only way
Yeah.
to really help artists is to give them attention and to work with them. Because if you try to help the world, you have to start with one person. You can't feed the world all at once, right?
Right.
So, talk to me about how you work with the artists that you work with.
Well, this is all kind of, at least in my eyes, my mind, kind of avalanched kind of quick.
Nice.
So I mean, I wanted to. What I mean by that is, I, I got myself probably in as much over my head as I can do right now. I've always, like, for the year and a half I've been a full-time artist. I've always admired a lot of work, like for example on Instagram, and I've always enjoyed sharing my taste. I just, and people have always, been there to comment, oh, we really like your art, keep showing it, keep sharing, blah, blah, blah. So initially, so to me, it was sort of a natural thing to be able to like curate and put together maybe a little show. So initially, you talked about how I'm dealing with the artists. I was intending to do maybe like right now, this first show is up and we've got 3 2D artists. So they're hanging on the walls, and we've got one sculpture, one 3D art, one artist who provided some of his 3D work. And then we've got like 5 video artists. And so when I started to think about this and curate it, I would just basically, I would see something, I follow like a couple thousand people on Instagram. I would be like, God, I really like that. I really want to show their artwork. So I would contact these people. And so the avalanche is me now up to like 125 interested people that I have to manage to put into these shows, because the last thing I'm going to do is like give up and not do it. So I was hoping that the community, so I would just, that's how I would do it. I was just reaching out to people, and then I just kept, like, I would see more artists that I like, and I just kept asking, and I kept saying to myself, Mark, stop. But it went so fast.
Did anybody say no?
Yeah, there were a few people that said no.
Interesting.
I mean, there's 125 interested people, and I think there were 8 or 10 that outright said no for various reasons. Some of them, I think, a couple of them were talking about the expense. The only expense for the artist at this time is shipping work. So if they're submitting video or digital content, or if they're local, there's no cost to the artist that I can think of. But there's the cost of shipping the work. Because when I say no cost, call me crazy, but if anything sells, I'm not taking any kind of a cut.
That's amazing.
So,
yeah.
Probably a little crazy. But anyways, yeah, so those are some important things for me. Anywho, so the avalanche started. I've got now 125 artists. I still have people on my list that I haven't even contacted yet. And I still have about 60 artists that I have to actually put into shows that are going to be, I'm doing it at a rate of, I'm trying to do like once every 2 months, which kind of gives me a month to prepare for the show.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of work.
The
yeah, there's a lot of work.
And just the designing of stuff, the input, updating the website and all that stuff, posting things on Instagram. So at that rate, I'm thinking I probably am going to be out to the end of 2022.
There you go.
Yeah.
You need.
Anywho, so I was hoping that I was going to have closer communication with the artists, and I'm trying to maintain a close communication with the artists. It's not as personal as I would have really, really hoped to, but it's still enough where, I still care about the artists. To me, it's more about exposing the artist, helping the artist out if I can, and obviously as much as I can also expose, visitors of Fluffy Crimes to new artists and new art. So.
Absolutely. Now, you went to the seminar through your fellowship at Sputnik. What other information did you come away with that kind of has steered you in this direction, if any?
At Sputnik?
You said that you had taken
at the seminar.
Yeah, a seminar.
I think just the idea kind of got a little bit sort of planted in my head at one of the seminars that we had. So the Sputnik Cooperative Press, it's a fine art press. They're a nonprofit, and they twice a year, with some overlap, they've got fellows that they accept into their program who act as open studio monitors. So printers come print, they pay for, printing at the print shop. And so in exchange for the fellows monitoring these open studios once a week, we get this fellowship program where we've got full 24/7 key holder access to the print shop, which is tremendous, and this professional seminar. So the fellowship coordinator puts together, like, every week we had, up until lockdown, we had a weekly seminar, just where we would discuss different art professional related topics for like 2 hours. So, the week that the coordinator actually is the one that kind of gave me the idea of, like, maybe just starting a gallery, even though this was many months ago. She talked about, we talked about, how artists, updating our CVs, our resumes, websites, approaching galleries, just all kinds of professional development related, taxes, all kinds of things.
The sexy stuff.
Yeah, the stuff that we don't want to do. But actually, that's part of why I kind of wanted to start Fluffy Crimes as well, because when I left the corporate world after 25 years and I started to, be like a full-time artist, I realized right away you could do the administrative stuff all day long. You could literally, if you're trying to be sustainable as an artist full-time, just exposure, marketing, networking, just, updating website, updating your CV, keeping track of invoices, keeping track of expensive. It's a full-time job.
It really is. What kind of corporate job industry did you have? What kind of industry was it?
So I was in the insurance industry for 25 years.
That'll give you an education. Yeah.
There was good things and bad things about it. I went to art school. I actually graduated from art school, and I started out delving into photography. This would have been back in the early 90s, or even, a little bit in the late 80s, right out of high school. And, the good things about the corporate world are, well, it pays.
There you go.
It can pay. So I wouldn't have this particular, house, roof over my head if I hadn't been, I think, in the corporate world. There's a certain, obviously, stability to it that I must have preferred over not knowing what the heck I was going to do back in the early 90s with, as a photographer. There's a stability, there's insurance,
That makes sense.
You're dying a little bit every day if you really want to make art.
That makes sense to me. Now, talk to me a little bit about your work. How has it evolved from photography?
So I've always been interested in a lot of different, mostly two-dimensional, like visual art. I remember taking a photography class back in like 4th grade in school, grammar school.
Wow.
And we were developing film and shooting pictures, and it was actually, I was real lucky. It was a great school, great, where I got educated, I think was really good. It's, over time, over the 25 years that I've been in corporate America, I'd play around mostly like on a computer with like graphic programs like Photoshop and Illustrator, and like, I remember a DJ friend, I had a masseuse / escort friend who, they needed these ads, like print ads. It was just print at the time. We're talking, could have been more than a decade ago or whatever. And I would just, that would be my creative outlet, just like making ads for them for free. So, I kept doing that. I kept collecting art supplies despite the fact that I didn't use them as much as I bought them. But that was another advantage of corporate America. Anyway, I'd be painting, and then, in fact, um, about 10 years ago, no, more than that. Wait, oh my God, back in the early 2000s. So I dropped out of college originally back in the early 90s after like 2.5 years. And then I actually went back while I was in corporate America to finish my degree, which was at an art school.
Wow.
And it took about 8 years to finish it, which was the best experience of my life, by the
Oh,
way,
that's
because
great.
I was more mature and I was able to really, think about and do what I wanted to do while I was in college. So anyways, I took a lot of painting classes then, so more traditional, using the traditional materials as opposed to like graphics or even photography. And, that just got me more interested in painting, and come to know in 2018, they kicked me out of corporate America and I decided I'm going to pursue art.
Oh, so you were asked to leave.
Uh, in a funny way, yeah,
There
yeah.
you
I
go.
resigned. Yeah, I was kicked out, but I technically I resigned.
That's
But yeah,
real punk. I love it.
I resigned. But yeah, so since the beginning of 2019, so almost 2 years ago. Yeah, actually, it's almost 2 years ago now. I've just been painting away. Like I finished like 30 paintings last year, like oil on canvas. And that's really, just the whole being older, and realizing like I could go any minute, not in my 20s, not having any kind of steady income. You just gotta push yourself. You gotta do it. So I just woke up every day and I'm like, "Ah, shit, I gotta paint. A good shit. It was like, I want to paint. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna do it.
Well,
So yeah.
looking at your work after hearing your trajectory, it kind of makes sense. Your
It's
work
really,
really reads like, in the best way possible, like a child that's just kind of escaped and is making this like really colorful work in a very specific language. Does that make sense?
yes, no, totally. It's interesting. It's along the line of what other people have said about my work, and I do like feedback about my work.
I hate
Just
it. I'm
because
just kidding.
well, you really,
No, I'm
because
just kidding.
yeah, I like feedback, even if it's not positive, because I've always been one to like, even if it's not positive, you look at the person who's providing the feedback, you know, you gotta get take everything. To me, it's good that you learn. I learn from. I'm not anywhere near perfect. Like, I'm hoping I'm only at like 5% of what I'm capable of in terms of my painting, in terms of whatever. So in that respect, there's just so much to improve upon. There's so many people that have been doing this for their whole lives,
Yeah.
and I haven't. So I think it's just really important to, yeah, just get that feedback. I love it. I think it's good.
How
Yeah.
exciting! How has COVID affected your workflow?
It like killed it for like a good 6 weeks. I was, we were, I was, this was, so our fellowship went from November of 2019, supposed to be till end of June, so like July 1st of 2020. And so right in the middle, in fact, I had already, I don't know, pulled probably, I don't know, 60, 80 prints. I had the stack of stuff that I wanted to, I had blank paper. I had a stack of work that I wanted to do more printing over it, to just incorporate, just multiple types of printmaking into these pieces. And we just all of a sudden, end of March was like bang. That was it. It just cut all that. We couldn't get to the print shop, obviously. I was I would say very unmotivated for, from what I remember, at least 6 weeks. Like, it was really hard. I couldn't get myself. I rented out a very inexpensive studio out in the suburbs, and I didn't get out there for like weeks. It was hard. It hit me really hard. And then, we were supposed to even do a public program with the the fellowship that's done, or I should say it was nixed.
Wow.
I've been trying to do a lot of stuff at home. I've been doing a lot of drawing. I've been doing a lot of using watercolor, things that aren't so toxic, because my preferred means of painting is with oil. So there's some toxicity to some of the mediums and such,
Sure.
but that's what I've been doing. And now that I've decided I'm going to do this, it was about a little over 2 months ago when I started really thinking about the whole art space gallery thing, Flufy Crimes. That kind of also helped to get me motivated to at least clean up here and move stuff around, and which always gives you new ideas for all kinds of things, whether it just be where you live or paintings or whatever.
Yeah, that's amazing. What good business practices have you been practicing during COVID? Because I know a lot of artists have like just sales have stopped. People are like questioning. It's a weird time, right? We don't know what's going to happen next. What practices have you been in implementing?
I haven't been real successful in that respect. I haven't been finishing a lot of paintings. I did sell a couple actually I did sell a couple paintings that I think were from last year, if I remember correctly. Yes. It was just coincidentally, I don't even remember I don't think I was even like marketing any specific artwork or anything like that. When the protests begun a few months ago, I did spend a good solid month just thinking about everything, my life, the world around us, the community. In terms of money, I placed a bid on a painting that I actually won at an excellent price. So that's in terms of it wasn't business. It was money that was going towards, I think it was the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. I also offered up, just kind of custom watercolor / drawings, also for 100% that went to nonprofits, like a local BIPOC trans organization.
Wow.
And some other. Yes. That was, I think that was the most money that changed hands. It didn't go to me, but it did go to our community. So
That's
in terms
brilliant.
of business, in terms of real business, Flufy is taking up a lot of my time right now.
That's
Yeah.
great. I think that's kind of the answer to feeling alone and scared, right? You reach out to people and you figure out how you can help them.
Yes, maybe you're right. I think at least that probably has happened. I think that is yes. Because I would say I'm not independently wealthy or anything, but I am very privileged in many respects, which I think corporate America did help me.
Sure.
I probably wouldn't have some savings that I could be able to do all this stuff for a limited period of time without getting like a job. But it is. I think it is important to help people. Even when I was in corporate America, that was always very important to me. I was very blessed, and I gave my money to nonprofits that I believed in, all the time. And I think that's actually, if you're living somewhere other than under the expressway, I think that you're probably blessed more than you realize. So that's like a lot of people. And I think if everybody was to, just really did the right thing and thought about their neighbor, I really think that those less fortunate than us in particular, I think that we'd be in a happier world. Anyway.
For sure. Can you tell me about your first experience with art? How did that happen to you?
You mean first ever?
Yeah, your first time. What happened? How did you end up here?
47 years ago? What are you talking about? I'm 50. Are you talking about when I was 3? Because I remember I think I still
Yes,
have little
that's the
books
one I'm
that
talking about.
I mean, my mom said I always loved drawing, and I think I did. I have some books from first grade, kindergarten, whatever that I made, and it's funny because I actually this is kind of funny, but or weird or when I'm guessing this was in the 70s, so I must have been. I'm thinking I was like 7. I don't know what it was, but I love pictures. I love like pictures, and at that time it was just everything was in books, obviously. So I always wanted to make a book, and I I remember talking to like a teacher who was also like where I went to school, who was also had some published books, and they were adult themed books, and I don't remember specifically what they were about, but my mom happened to like know her, so my mom knew I wanted to like write a book when I was like 7 or something or 6 or whatever. So she provided me with like this publisher's name and address, and twice in the 70s when I was like a kid, I like sent my books to like these publishers, and I was very graciously rejected.
What were they about?
So one of them was about one of them was a cartoon book, and it was just like this fictional character, and I unfortunately I don't have that book because I sent it to the publisher. And then another one was, I remember the name of it. This must have been, I remember my mom typed it up for me on a
I
typewriter.
love your
It was
mom.
like, it was, me too. She's awesome. It was 2 pages long, and it was about, I think I called it How to Make a Monster and Take Care of It. And I'll tell you the funny thing was, so I wrote this little book on like 2 sheets of paper. It was like I had all the pages down there. In fact, I remember like drawing lines on this typed up paper and said page 1, page 2, and I sent it off, and I said, I think I said something along the lines of, I just need someone to illustrate this, but this is like my book proposal, which is funny because I always love to draw. But anyways, what gets me is that within a couple years of sending in that book proposal, I remember, how like when you're in grammar school, at least back in the 70s when I was a kid, they used to have like once a year or something, there would be these like book sales
Oh
where
yeah.
kids could like buy these books from like and they have these books shipped to you or something like that. Well, my mom never let me buy those books, but I remember a book that actually came out was called How to Make a Monster and Then Take Care of It. Myself, oh my god, like literally someone stole my, it's crazy that that sounds, I'm holding to that story, it
I
was so true.
believe it. I think there's still some. I think you can get some money from that. Oh my god. Do you still want to write books?
I have always loved children's books, children like illustration for children. I just, to me it is like, it's the
What are
best.
some of your
And
favorites?
oh gosh. Well, I mean, I can think of like Shel Silverstein, who's no longer with us, but he, illustrated some adult books, but also a
Yeah,
bunch of
yeah.
like
Didn't
children's
he also
poetry
work
books.
for Playboy? He
Yes,
did,
he
right?
did.
Yeah, he's so cool.
Um, okay,
There's
forgetting
Maurice
his name, but
Sendak, right?
oh yeah, yeah, I
I
was a
mean,
fan of his.
I
Yes,
love
yes.
him.
Yeah, yeah. It's like every like if you go to we go to I occasionally go to like a small local bookstore with my partner, and I just browse through the kids' books because the illustrations are fantastic. So there's always new stuff coming around. There's a lot of like Spanish illustrators, like actually illustrators in Spain who I don't know what it is, but these guys have got like this gift of illustration. I mean, it's just like amazing. I follow one of them on Instagram. I can't think of the name. But I mean, there's
Yeah,
tons of
yeah.
illustrators that I just love. I love that. And so when I write a book, I would like to, I'm kind of like, right now I'm like at my limit in terms of like
Come
hours
on,
in
man.
the day.
Come on, let's go. What, you're running a gallery, making art? You have time for a book. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I've always loved anime. I take myself way too serious to allow myself to like draw and like do something fluffy, which is why I'm so like attracted to that name that you've given this space. I'm too I'm too esoteric. But is your partner an artist as well?
So, it's funny. He doesn't consider himself an artist, but uh, in fact, he was a dentist in his home country of Venezuela. He came here. He's here, via political asylum, so he's here legally and everything. And he was a waiter up until lockdown, and he got furloughed, and he's actually taking up like he's always loved to cook, so he was thinking about ideas, to maybe make food that people would want like on a weekly basis, and he could bring it to them, meals, desserts, whatever it may be, appetizers. Um, but he actually started like taking pictures of his like he bought a little camera, he bought some soft boxes, and he's like doing food photography now.
Wow,
So to
cool.
answer your question, it was kind of weird. Yeah, but he's doing great. I actually think he'd be a more successful artist than me if he like put his mind towards it, because I'm like kind of picky about stuff, and he's kind of a slob. So I just think he'd be like a natural artist. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. So
That, that's
actually, to answer your
fantastic.
question, he does food photography. I mean, he's not, he doesn't have any jobs or he doesn't make any money on it, but he's started an Instagram page, and who knows, maybe it'll amount to something. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean that's what's going to happen, right? It's going to be these micro economies that are really going to take off because restaurants are closed and you can cook, I can cook, you're my neighbor, I'll pay you $5 for a soup. I mean,
Yeah,
I wish there was a way we could translate that for artists, right? Like,
that
how
would
can
be
artists be part of this new economy that's emerging from the ground up? So, I mean, yeah, let's ponder that.
let's. Yeah, I think no, I think that's very important, and I think it's key, and I think that you're right. I think you and I and artists, we need to think of ways. There's that one gentleman, is it Matt Burrows, who came up with the artist support pledge.
Right.
So that's one thing
That
that
was
really took off.
fantastic. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Uh, I don't know if you took advantage of that. I did not at all. And I should have, but
I'll tell
I
you a
think we need more.
story. Yeah, I did participate and I really sold so much work consistently, more than I had ever. And then
What?
and then unfortunately what happened, all of these horrible situations started happening and riots and all we needed our attention somewhere else and it kind of disappeared overnight, right? Like, oh, right, something new and more horrible has happened.
Yeah.
And I think that that's such a huge thing that's happening right now. It's like from fire to fire to fire to fire. Put out
Yeah.
this fire, put that fire, and yeah, and unfortunately, artists are kind of left to starve. you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a really weird time, but I really think it's a really great time to be able to start from the ground up and really have a voice in how we move forward.
I agree with you. I personally, what I've been thinking about in that respect is we have to show people that art is important, and that buying work like directly from an artist, you could pay the same price getting this original piece of artwork that is going to make you happy, and it's original, and it's coming from someone, and it's if you buy it, it's supporting someone, and people end up instead going to Home
IKEA,
Goods,
right?
Target, and IKEA, and buying some of it's,
Well,
I
it's
mean, I'm guilty of it too,
pre-digested.
but I think that people would just understand that how important we have to show people, I think, how important it is to just support artists. And I'm sure people have been trying to do that for a long time. I
Yeah,
don't know how
yeah.
to do that. Anyway.
Well, you know what? Taking our conversation into context, I really think maybe we need a children's book on teaching adults how to relate to art, because we just don't know how.
Hell yes. Hell yes. I think that's a very good idea.
Yeah,
It is
yeah.
now your duty
I
to.
love it. Thank you, Fluffy Crimes Inside Out. I'll leave the
I think
images
that's
empty and I'll have you illustrate it.
I think that's a really good idea, actually. I really do. A picture book. I mean, to show people the importance of supporting artists because, yeah,
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 we just, yeah,
that and
there's a weird disconnect. There really is.
yeah.
But we'll figure it out. We have to. So you mentioned you were playing video games. What video games were you playing during lockdown?
Oh my God, I got addicted to War and something. It was like a strategy game when you're part of like this team and wait,
That's pretty
I
deep.
haven't touched it for like 2 months, so I'm glad I was able to wait.
Uh-oh, I hope I'm not triggering you.
War and Order. No, 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 it's fine. It's called War and Order. I haven't opened it. I'm not going to open it. I got too much to do. But I was like, I couldn't put it down, and I had to like force myself to like stop it. So Fluffy Crimes nipped that in the bud real good.
I love it. Well, I'm so glad you've taken this initiative to do this. Before I let you go, can you tell me what are some of the things that are moving you right now? What are you watching? What are you reading? And P.S.
So
Everyone's told me I'm not reading anything because I can't finish a book. Me too.
I would say I'm reading very little. I would say that I'm still looking at a lot of pictures on Instagram. I'm looking at different artists. Every minute that I'm not, this was just the first show that came out for Fluffy Crying. So every minute that I'm not, I'm going to have more time now, I think, for myself. But every minute that I'm not doing something for Fluffy Crimes, be it designing a little promo ad or just talking to artists or sending emails out to them and all that. I'm trying to get over to my studio and paint. So that doesn't answer your question though. What's moving me? Nature. Like I don't watch TV, and my partner is always watching these food shows, like with these, like famous chefs and everything. And I mean, nature helps me like kind of ground myself just thinking about it, just being in it, having, flowers up on my deck and just having plants around that helps me a lot. I think it's also going to inspire my work, hopefully going forward a little bit, but that's probably just a lot of things, just everything that's going on in the world. Politics, unfortunately, is on my mind. Everything, the unfairness of how my whole life probably came to be, unfortunately. Just a lot of things.
Yeah, yeah. Grounding is an amazing thing to do. It's. I mean, on an esoteric level and on a scientific level and just on a it calms me level. Yeah, totally. I'm glad you're
Yes.
doing that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I'm super excited, and I can't wait to see what Fluffy Crimes does next, and keep us
Thanks.
posted. Thank you for spending some time with me.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, Louise.
Ciao.
Bye.